So you got your move to Birmingham, going out on loan first, and then your permanent move. How did you find your integration going into the football club?
I remember when the phone call came, it was beginning of the week. They'd lost 8-0 to Bournemouth. Really difficult game. And then Gary had got the job, Gary Rowett, and my agent had called me and said, listen, Birmingham want to take you. And I remember thinking, it's a tough one that. But he only stayed up by the skin of the teeth last year. It was, that Paul Caddis legendary goal. And then Gary wanted to sign me, and I was a bit like, I'm not sure how good the side is. Are we, can I come in and affect it? Can we stay up? I don't want a relegation on my CV. And my agent sort of put to me, and I've heard Gary say this as well. It was, we can't get any worse. If we do go down, they were all already not doing very well. You haven't made it worse, so go and see what happens. And it was right, and it's the best decision I've ever made, by the way. And it wasn't like I was sitting there going, oh, I'm not going to come, but it was a question. Yes, it wasn't something I jumped at, and that's me being honest. But I absolutely loved my time. As soon as I got there, I arrived on the Friday, played on the Saturday against Wolves away, magnificent atmosphere. We ended up getting a 0-0 result, which was as much as a win for us. And then Tuesday night we played Gary's just got the job, and he was talking about it the other day. Again, that game against Watford at home on a Tuesday night under the lights at St Andrews was amazing. First time for me at my home game, and the experience was amazing. We won, I think it was 2 or 3-1 against Watford. Clayton Donaldson scored, and we just clicked. It was like 7 wins out of 10 or something mad like that, and I just loved it, and I felt well when my performance was really good. I was playing next to Paul Robinson, who I really enjoyed playing with. He was a real warrior, a real leader, made me feel comfortable, and I just felt instantly at home. So as soon as we could make that permanent in January, I didn't even wait to see if there was anything else about. I wanted to sign at Birmingham and keep moving with that. Like I say, it just was such a good fit for me. It felt brilliant at the time, and wasn't too far away from Cambridge where I was based when I was playing at Charlton as well, so we could get up and down, see family, and everything just fitted in a line.
So you mentioned obviously Gary Rowett as the leader, being around good people with Paul Robinson as the captain. Well, I'm interested on what you were like as a leader, Michael. What things do you think you do within that dressing room environment to try and bring a sense of collaboration, bring people together to try and succeed? You mentioned the 8-0 defeat to Bournemouth during that very challenging period on and off the pitch for Birmingham City. What do you do from a leadership point of view that brings people together, tries to build momentum, tries to build morale, motivation? I'm just interested on how you cope with that off the field as well as on the pitch as well.
Well, I was really lucky. I've had 2 really good captains that I try and take stuff off. But, obviously at Leicester I was a bit younger, so you don't realise what's going on as such. But when I was at Charlton, we had Johnny Jackson there, and he was a real leader, and I had Paul Robinson as well at Birmingham, and they're both real brilliant leaders, but they led completely different. John was more calmer, but he put everything out in training all the time, as Paul did. But like, he would score important goals. He would make the difference in games. It's harder as a defender to do that. But John really led from the front and was a real example. And Paul did that in his own way, but he couldn't influence games as effectively because he was at the back. It's harder to score the goals, right? And that said to me, how you look after yourself, the pair of them, the way that they did it in their own style, and you have to do it your own way, but was how you look after yourself, how you go about your business affects other people, because they're looking at you to lead the team. So if you're turning up late, then they think that's acceptable to turn up late. And if you're turning up late, you can't moan at people for being late. If you're being sloppy, then you can't moan at people being sloppy. And other people see that as being acceptable. So how you present yourself and how you lead, look after yourself is really, really important when you're a leader. And from them two, I really took that on. And then I think Paul was really good at, as soon as I signed, he sent me a message. If you need anything, can I help you? And that's something that I've stole off him. I've been in the area, what you need. Have you got family? Can I give you this? Can you do that? Sending over the fine list so you know where you're going, or, just catching people in the morning and being like, have you got your kit? Do you know where you're going? Have you been sorted out for whatever's going on? Because when you get to a new club, everywhere it's a bit different. So you're just trying to help people feel more comfortable. And then just expectation, every day it's, we don't do that here. It's that culture you're trying to create, and you're trying to bring on people with you as well. You can't just do it on your own. You're trying to influence other people in the dressing room that can influence the rest of the group. So there might be one person that's a big influence on the younger players, and you're trying to influence him and get him to do the right things because it's going to affect 5 or 6 more people, and it's having a good understanding of the, not the hierarchy, but how people follow each other, and trying to influence the group to make sure that everybody's doing the right thing and pushing in the right direction.
It's interesting how that settlement enabled you to, play your best football under Gary Rowett, and then all of a sudden, Gary leaves the football club. A little bit of a moment out of nowhere, really. I'm just interested in how you cope with that as players. Obviously, being a senior member and being a leader in the dressing room, and being a kind of an effective communicator to kind of bring people together and try to be impactful on the pitch and drive results. How did you cope with that as a team to try and, focus and proceed whilst, the manager sacks out of nowhere, really? And I'm sure all Birmingham fans will, as well as fans alike, will agree with me on that it was a bit of a random sacking. And, obviously I've been fortunate to interview Gary on this podcast previously, and he agrees on that. Just interested from a player's perspective, how that worked and how you cope with that.
Yeah, I think it's well publicised now. Obviously, it was a big shock. We've done well. We'd won in the week. We're near the playoffs. Everybody's sort of thinking, this is going to be a good year for us. Christmas not too far. We'll probably recruit a few more players and we'll see how we go. Obviously, that got cut short. The club had a plan to get rid of Gary, because by the end of, me and Paul Robinson went to meet the chief exec at the time, Panos, and Panos was like, "Don't panic, we've got this thing sorted, blah blah blah. Gianfranco Zola's coming in the next day, and we'll be fine, and life will go on." And they were excited because Gianfranco was such a big name, and he'd done well previously at other places, granted with a different type of team. Obviously didn't work out like that. It was difficult, and I think change is really difficult. I think the problem that Gianfranco had as well was that I felt that his staff were probably underprepared. He didn't have as much knowledge of the Championship as I think that he needed, or of our team that was needed in the short term. I probably would have brought different staff in, and consequently, as the time went on, they probably didn't all seem on the same page. I think that went into some of the team a little bit. And as a player, you feel that, and it's hard to, if you're the lead, you're one of the players, you're leading the group, it's hard to know where to steer the team. Is it that way? Is it this way? And who are you back in almost? So that was quite difficult. And I think, bring back to my point, is that we'd done so well under Gary, the team wasn't ready to change its style, because we're doing well here. Why would we start doing something different? And I've had that in a number of experiences. When I was at Leicester under Nigel Pearson, we missed out in the playoffs, we lost. Following season, Palace Sosa's come in and he wants to play more of an open tile at football and do something different. But the team wasn't ready to do anything different, because we've seen it this way and it's been successful this way. We're not ready for change. Whereas when you've been in a team that's been unsuccessful and somebody comes in and goes, right, we're going to do it this way, everyone's like, right, go on then, we'll do it different because it's not working. So to create change, and I suppose that was, the similar situation with John Eustace, with him getting the sack at Birmingham. The team was doing okay, was doing all right in their own way. They're not ready for change yet. So when that did come about under Wayne, the team probably wasn't as open as what it would have been if they were off the back of 4 or 5 defeats, So it's when clubs try and implement that change, it can be very difficult, and you have to think about the timing and the group and the assets that you've got and how you can use them players the most effectively. And in the short term, that didn't work with Gianfranco, and I think he lost sight of what he was going to do, chopping and changing a little bit, and and buy-in can only be done if you keep winning games, and it's a vicious circle, because what comes first, the buy-in or the game being won? But you need some small wins when you first come into the job, and he didn't get them, and then ultimately he didn't get enough wins over that period of time. And fortunately for us, Harry came in.
Please do me a massive favour by clicking the subscribe button now below. It helps the channel grow. The bigger the channel, the bigger the guests, and it's free.